If I couldn't get to the river, I reckon I would surely die. The river can give a man a reason to live when the rest of the world says why. If you're looking for something that delivers, come on, give the river a try. We'll sit on the bank, let our minds go blank, let the rest of the world go by. And if I couldn't get to the canyon, I wouldn't have no place to go. I love that ditch, Lord, I'd be rich if I had learned how to row that boat. But she made me a true companion one night neath the full moon's glow. And the stars that shine in the night are mine, and the rest by the old Bravo. And if I can't get to my baby, there's gonna be hell to pay. I pity the man who makes his plan to get in this old boy's way. Ain't no ifs or ands or maybes about anything that I say. She's my loving friend till the living end. Gonna see my baby today.
Okay, here we are. Decided not to run the falls last night. It was getting kind of late, so we decided to paddle back upstream a little bit and make camp. We're relying on these predators to get us down the falls and get us back where we need to be. So far they've held up extremely well. Been able to stand up in them in this pretty high wind. Hit, you know, barely submerged rocks. Didn't feel tipsy at all, even in the high seat position. In fact, I've only used it, all three of us have only used it in the high seat position. It's definitely the most stable kayak I have been in, and I'm not just saying that, that's without a doubt. Very hard to tip it over and fall out of it. Not saying it can't happen, but it's definitely a long shot. So we got all of our gear strapped down, and we're getting ready to hit it. We're not sure if we're going to run it or just walk them down, mainly because we don't want to get hurt. Definitely feel like kayaks could make it very easily, but since we're still so far out from anybody being able to help us, we don't want anybody to get hurt, so we're probably going to play it on the safe side and walk them down. We're obviously not experienced with any type of rough water like that, going over rocks and down steep, I guess flowing water, I don't know what you call it. But I did learn pretty quick that you got to be fast to find the correct route to go down and not bottom out, and having the ability to turn the kayak on a dime like that to, you know, maybe you're going left and you need to be making a quick right, to just be able to stick your paddle in the water and just use a little bit of force and get it to turn on and get you down that correct path. That helped us from getting stuck, you know, numerous times throughout the trip, so that it was a big help.
To go back to the stability, remember whenever I was going down the rapids and I ended up coming up on a rapid, I must have been darn near perpendicular to the air. I mean, and then just the kayak was like, nope, nope, and I leaned back a little bit and it slid right down over the rock, and yeah. I stayed dry. He looked at me and he's like, how did you not tip? And I was like, I don't even know.
Even going down some of the like I say rapids, it's just rough flowing water that's pretty shallow with a few little rocks. I went through that standing up where you hit the bottom just barely and it kind of just bounced right back up and you float right over everything. I mean, it was pretty easy to get through a lot of that shallow stuff. Dragging it was no different, which is actually easier, obviously, dragging it because your weight's not in it. So it rises up a little bit higher, but we were able to drag it in, I'd say, a couple inches of water maybe in areas.
Taking it downriver when I had to drag it, I had no issues. I was completely shocked by, still loaded with gear, everything you need for 4 and 5 days on the river, and I'm just like, okay, let's do this. And off it went, and it was like, we're gonna go left, we're gonna go right. It handled the rocks. It kind of made me giddy. I'm not gonna lie, it made me giddy.
All right, we're getting ready to run the falls. Mr. Old Town Predator, don't let us down. Looks like Minion's tucked in, safe and sound.
And if I can't get to the desert, well, the desert gonna come get me. It'll slip into town all dusty and brown, looking for the refugee. Running with the desert is a pleasure always, took the measure of me. And if you're looking around and I can't be found, the desert is where I'll be. And if I can't get to the river, well, I reckon I'll surely die. The river can give a man reason to live when the rest of the world says why. If you're looking for something that delivers, come on, give the river a try. We'll sit on the bank, let our minds go blank, let the rest of the world go by.
I know if I could take anything, it would be more cameras and camera lenses. The views on the doubles, and some of just wishing you could get 50 feet closer to whatever. There's plenty of room on the Predator, I'm not even gonna lie. I gotta get more lenses. It's too beautiful, too scenic not to take every single camera you can possibly take.
Like I said, I was just surprised at how well that Predator held up and how much of a river kayak it actually was. Third smallmouth of the third day, so today seems like the fishing's picked up a little bit. Been using some grubs. He looked like he was barely hooked, but another pretty good fish. Definitely, possibly one of the biggest ones. The first one I think I caught was the biggest one of the day, or the trip so far, but not a bad one. But as far as fishing goes, it was great. You know, the kayak handled everything really well, I guess. I had some pretty big rods. That was one thing that the guide was like, yeah, I should have brought ultralight stuff. And I was like, I don't have ultralight stuff. This is it. This is my lightest gear. So yeah, it was like, you know, big bait casters and big Texas rig type rods. And they, you know, there's plenty of room for them in the kayak. You know, our tackle, I actually had room behind the seat, between the seat and the back tank well, where I put two tackle bags, and then just tied them to the seat, the frame of the seat with some bungees or something. Right there. And so I was able to take, you know, everything I needed, you know, all my terminal tackle, hooks, weights. I probably took 10 or 15 bags of soft plastic baits in there. It didn't seem like a typical river kayak at first. But when we got in the water and after, you know, the first few hours, we realized that it was really built for the rivers. I wish I'd had my camera on, but I got stuck going down without trying to, and went down the whole thing backwards except for the very last section. It was pretty fun, but I kind of blew it on the camera deal. I think I see a rod. I see a rod down there floating.
Oh yeah. We'll catch up to it.
Well, I took the right line. I just went backwards because I couldn't stop in time. We're gonna want to go this way.
Keep on going, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go that way because that's where it's shallow.
Kind of where my kayak is?
Yeah, your kayak's right. I mean, I don't know the way to go, the good way to go. It's just, I went down that. Before we left for the river at the outfitter's ranch, but he noticed that the seats would go up and down, and he asked about that, if we had planned on doing the high seat the entire trip, or, you know, how we planned on tackling that. And I told him, well, our two bags are underneath the seat in the high position, so we can't really lower it. But my thought was if it got to a rough rapid, you could easily lash those to the back of the kayak, and they'd be safe, and you could lower the seat down. And he agreed. He was like, "That's probably a good idea for you guys, because you'll be pretty tipsy up high." I've had experience with the high-low seat stuff, so it wasn't an issue for me. I was comfortable immediately in the high seat position. But I don't believe one time any of us lowered our seats down. I take that back. Autumn did once.
Whenever
towards the end of the trip.
Wind was going to pick up to about 20 miles an hour, I dropped it to a lower position. I wanted to be as low in the water as I could.
And it does help.
It makes you a little more. I never dropped mine, but just previous experience, it does help cut the wind down some. But the whole trip, I mean, through all the rapids, you'll see in the video, we were in the high seat the whole time. It didn't seem like I didn't even have second thoughts about lowering the seat down. It was that stable that it was like being a low seat to me. So
It's a big drop here.
we had probably, I want to say 95% of our gear came from Austin Canoe and Kayak. Yes, they're all very helpful with the kayaks and all the gear that was, and not only that, they know when you ask them a question, they know what they're talking about. They're not just some random person they hired off the street that, oh, let me go ask my manager. They have experience with everything, and it actually ended up swaying us to buy that product. So they do a lot of good reviews, and like I said, they do know what they're talking about when you ask them about anything they sell. So
We were able to get the paddles, the life jackets, the kayaks, the sunscreen. I mean, if you're female, they even sell Go Girls at ACK. So when you have to go nature calls, you don't have to worry about, peeing on a cactus or anything like that. It comes in handy being able to do one-stop shopping.
And if I can't get to my baby, there's gonna be hell to pay. I pity the man who makes his plan to get in this old boy's way. Ain't no ifs or ands or maybes about anything that I say. She's my loving friend till the living end. Gonna see my baby today. And if I can't get to the desert, well, the desert gonna come get me. It'll slip into town all dusty and brown, looking for the refugee. Running with the desert is a pleasure always, took the measure of me. And if you're looking around and I can't be found, the desert is where I'll be. And if I can't get to the river, well, I reckon I'll surely die. The river can give a man reason to live when the rest of the world says why. If you're looking for something that delivers, come on, give the river a try. We'll sit on the bank, let our minds go blank, let the rest of the world go by. We'll get some beer in a boat and we'll float that moat, let the rest of the world go